What's up, everybody? It's your favorite little tape player's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Iron Factory Soundwave. Now, this is a far cry from the old Soundwave that they put out, both in terms of aesthetics and size and probably intricacy. So I'm counting on it being an improvement. That being said, it is on loan to me from Robert D, so I want to make sure that I shout him out. And from that point forward, we need to get to the review, and in order to do that, we need to get to accessories. He comes with additional hands, as we've seen Iron Factory do in years recent. He comes with two outreaching hands. He comes with a left and right holding hand and fist hand. That's in addition to the holding hand and fist hand that was in the opening footage, so he comes with both. And then he has an eject hand or a pointing hand, depending on how you pose him. But it is going to be a bit of a typewriter pointing hand, to be fair. He comes with his kind of shoulder barrel. Just the blue plastic with the red paint around it. You can peg this into a little notch on his shoulder, and then it will articulate on a hinge at the base of his shoulder. That can tab into these pegs here in vehicle mode. They'll also tab in to the back here in tape mode. He comes with his traditional blaster. The sculpt is a bit different. The handle does collapse, and we'll show a bit of that. But and then we have the silver bit here that can be removed as well, and the red stripe painted around the barrel. You can peg this into his side if you'd like. You could also peg it on his other shoulder, and that also means that this could go on either shoulder. And of course, he can hold it in his holding hand. And same thing, just like the other one, this can tab in to the same peg in vehicle mode, and it does actually hide the ugliness of those wrist flaps that you'll see not quite cleaning up properly. This can tab in to the bottom of the in vehicle mode, and obviously that goes for this one as well. You can just tab it right in, and it actually it helps because it helps keep it from tipping over backward. And once again, in tape mode, you can utilize the same port for this if you'd like. He comes with this thing because it's a Soundwave and you have to include it. It's like one of the unspoken rules somewhere, and it just attaches right where the hands peg in. So it also shows the hand articulation is just a swivel where it pegs in. This too can tab into the bottom of the feet in vehicle mode. And in tape mode, you can utilize the same port again for this piece if you'd like. He also comes with a Megatron gun, which is kind of sweet. I didn't check if this was removable, but it doesn't look like it. The Megatron silver bit is painted silver, the rest is black plastic, and this bit removes here so that you can slide it into his holding hand and then reattach. Let's talk about the figure. So we have this bit, which I probably should have talked about in terms of gimmicks. It's kind of a throwback, obviously, to the tape ejecting bit. But now that we're off that, he has his head sculpt. Looks fantastic. The silver is painted and the red is painted. The red looks great as well. Head is on a ball peg. You get up to there and down, and you get the swivel and a little bit of confused Soundwave face. So all that works well. For the torso, we have silver paint here, gold paint around this bit and on the sides. All of that works. We have a waist swivel, and I haven't checked. It does not feel like there's much of an ab, maybe a little slight bit of a reverse ab crunch, and that's about it, unless I am missing something, which is possible. We have the shoulders. They are on ball pegs. They also are on a swivel at the base of the shoulder. It's a hinged swivel, so you can get back a bit, not really a whole lot front, plus 360 around and out to the side, maybe slightly, ever so slightly over 90 degrees, if not at least 90 degrees. A little bit of gunmetal silver and red there on the shoulder. We have a bicep swivel, and we have a single hinged elbow that gets you past 90 degrees with the forearms painted silver with the red stripe painted on as well. Fantastic. Nice amount of paint and breakup to make for an interesting looking figure. Love to see it. All right, so for the pelvis, we have the silver bits painted on there. We have T-jointed ball joints for hips that get you out to the side for the full Van Damme. Let's see, does this move? Yes. And if you move the hip skirts, this one unpegs. So you get forward in there, or forward and back to there. Now, there's a thigh swivel. There's a thigh swivel to cut joint, plus there's another thigh swivel around the ball peg. The ball peg tolerance is kind of tight. So a lot of times, like, the hip will get stuck in a spot, and you'll go to swivel it, and you'll end up pulling the thigh swivel, and you just got to sort the look out. Not the biggest deal in the world, but something worth noting. We have a double jointed knee that gets you pretty much the full run. Legs are completely painted silver up top and in the middle here. And then we have an ankle on a ball peg that's connected to a hinge that gets you an ankle tilt up, down, and a rocker on the ball peg. and then the yellow paint and red paint added on. Now, this yellow paint, I don't know if it's supposed to be yellow inside of there, and that's supposed to be a silver line across. If it is, they didn't do it. It looks like it kind of should be, but I also know what he's supposed to look like, so I get this as well. It looks strange in terms of sculpt versus paint, and it's the same for this blue bit that houses the ankle. That's a subjective thing, but it is my opinion. And then there he is from the back, so to speak. Size comparison wise, there he is with Tarn. So, I mean, it's about the same height to the head. I know it looks like Tarn's just that much bigger, but I think it's because of the tracks of the tires and stuff. But it's about the same size to the head. Tarn's slightly taller, but not crazy. I do feel like Soundwave maybe should even be a little bit taller, but it's not. I don't think it's a deal breaker. There he is with New Age, Optimus, and Megatron, just to give you an idea once again. Obviously, it doesn't fit in aesthetically anyway. And then finally, for the first time in quite some time, I can say here he is with the Iron Factory Old School Scale Blaster for more than the sake of tradition. It shows you the difference in scale from where they were, because Soundwave and Blaster were the same size when they started out this line, and it shows you the difference in scale as to where they are now and what they did in regard to some changes early on, when they kind of grew out of the upgrade set. It's kind of how they started. Long story. Maybe we should do an Iron Factory past, present, and future someday. But gives you an idea, which I do think is interesting. Alright, so let's get him transformed. We'll get the arms up and out of the way. That'll play out a bit later. We're going to detach this backpack here. We're going to open up the chest piece here, and that will allow you to flip the head in. Then you can put the chest piece back. We're going to bring these wheels down and then spin them around to the front. Once again, down and around to the front, and spin the waist 180. At that point, we can kind of bring the whole chest piece up, and we can put these hands away. So open up these panels here, rotate in and rotate in. You can kind of just sit those against. I know it seems all sorts of wrong, and I got news for you. Even when it's done, it's not all sorts of right. But it's their choice. It's their cat. They can skin it however they'd like. Okay, so next step is bring the up and collapse them against the shins, and you can tab the legs, the lower legs together. Undo these side pieces here. Spin just this one portion, bring it around, and tab on to the fender of the front wheels. We're going to do that on both sides. And that helps the alignment as well, because the wheels don't have like a place where they're necessarily locked in. There's a little bit of space for them to move around, so that'll help kind of get them where they need to be. All right, so this is come apart. We'll push that back together. The hands come around. I don't really see. Can we just spin at the bicep? I don't really know. Let's spin the whole thing. There's a port here for that tab. So bring that around and tab it in. And then same on this side. Bring it around, tab it in, and then we'll close that bit up there. I'll get him cleaned up. We'll take a look at him. And there it is. It rolls. It's not the best way to show you here, but it does. I bet you this even can close up. Maybe make that even a little bit tighter. Yeah, that's even better. So it rolls. I don't know what else you really want it to do, I suppose. It still has that kind of iconic Soundwave element there. Some silver details come through. You know, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing thing in the world, right? Let's just be honest about it. But what is aesthetically pleasing is it next to Tiger Tracks. All right, and then there's a third mode that we're going to go to, and I got news for you. We got to go back to a lot of where we started. So we'll unpeg the arms, we'll bring them up, we'll unpeg these fuel tank pieces here, bring them back, spin them back around, fold them back down on both sides, All right, down, spin, back, and move your wheels out of the way so that you can flip the chest piece up. These wheels here are gonna latch onto these kind of pieces on his leg, so bring them down and keep them sort of facing forward. This piece, I think you just bring out this back plate here, put this up, and then this sort of covers down. It seems like it should do a little bit of a better job, but that's what I got. All right, we're going to, just for the time being, fold this up just to give us a little bit more wiggle room in this area. We're gonna bring our legs around so that we can see the screws. And then bring the feet down, spin them, spin them 180, and keep that section as flat as you can. And we'll bring the arms around to the back, and we'll rotate the shoulders while we're at it, just because we're there. Actually, while you're here, you can also rotate at the bicep so that the elbow is facing the bottom. All right. Now, we're gonna bring up at the hips, and using both of these joints at the knee, we're gonna fold these pieces around here to the side. And while you do so, we're gonna bring these panels forward and tab in to that peg there on the wheels. And because, once again, the wheels don't have a place to kind of stay locked in, it's a little bit of a pain to sort out. So once again, I'll clean all this up later. And then flip this flap back now. And then bring down the shoulders. And if you need extra, you can kind of manipulate the elbows so that it sort of sits as tightly in the back as you can, I believe. And like I said, I'll get this cleaned up and we'll take a look at it. So there it is. And I mean, I don't know. I think it's somewhat suggestive enough, I guess. I mean, it's not supposed to look like the G1. It would look stupid if it looked like the real tape player. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not intended to. It's not supposed to. I think it's fine. But I mean, I think all their alt modes are sort of varying degrees of fine for the most part. It's only rare that they kind of get something that kind of really feels right in the pocket these days. And I feel like this should tighten up a little bit. It's these arms, like everything is just so like unfinished here in the back. They've been kind of doing a lot of that recently. I'm not sure what is up with that. But I mean, I think it looks the part. You know, like it looks like some sort of Cybertronian version of the G1 tape player, you know? And if you don't like this, the good news is you got a truck mode that you could do. And you can put them next to Tiger Tracks if you'd like. Negatives-wise, we'll start with the wrist flaps, or rather the forearm flaps that house the wrist pieces. It's just so unfinished and feels so overlooked in both modes. Well, I guess I should say both alt modes to be fair. The wheel pieces that spin around from the back and then out to the flank, it would be nice if they plugged in somewhere so that you could use the tension of the plug to kind of peg in the flaps, be it the shin flaps that make up the front of the tape mode or the kind of side leg flaps that make up the fuel tank for the vehicle mode. And I mean, once again, this kind of problem that I've been having with Iron Factory in recent time anyway is like just stuff not being pegged in, not being solid, just sort of laying against other parts to sort of form some sort of impression of a shape that they would like you to assume. I don't know. Seems very unfinished in that regard, and this one's no exception. And honestly, that's all I got for negatives. I know that sounds like a lot at first listen, but if you go back, it's really like only like a couple things, honestly. Because truthfully, I enjoy quite a bit about this figure. The transformation, and to be fair, I think they say they take some cheats and liberties with the transformation, but it's fun, easy, intuitive, and enjoyable. I love the sculpt in robot mode. Like, I love it. I feel like there's more Soundwave character in this Iron Factory than there is in the Robot Paradise. Now, obviously, it's not trying to look G1 and all that. It just has more life and character in it. And it has a ton of paint accents, especially in a legend scale, to keep it looking visually interesting and hold your attention aesthetically. quality. Plus the materials feel good. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's a recommend from me. Just be mindful of the few things that I did point out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.